welcome back to Project 15. Today we are on day numero 3.
We are reading from Genesis 2, which is Adam and Eve. Pause now and read.
G'day teenagers. Well, today we're looking at Genesis chapter 2. Now you will remember in the last episode when we talked about Genesis chapter 1 and God creating the heavens and the earth, I mentioned that yes, on the surface it is a narrative about God creating the universe, the heavens and the earth. But there's a deeper imagery that is at work in Genesis chapter 1. You'll remember that I said it isn't just that God creates the earth, He creates a space in which He can be in relationship with His creation, with human beings. And the word that we used is the word temple. So in Genesis 1, having created the temple, having created the space, what we call the earth, where He can be in relationship with humanity, He now in Genesis chapter 2, the text zeroes in to the creation of the first two human beings, Adam and Eve, the people we call Adam and Eve. And we read these words in Genesis chapter 2. Then the Lord God formed the man from the dust of the ground. He breathed the breath of life into the man's nostrils, and the man became a living person. Then the Lord God planted a garden in Eden in the east, and there He placed the man He had made. Now we read these words and we don't quite understand what is going on. Now, it's important for us to remember that we have to take off our 21st century ideas and plant ourselves in the ancient world to see how they would have understood what God was doing here. In the ancient world, the nations, remember the nations who worshipped many gods apart from the nation of Israel, which worshipped the one true God, the nations had a ceremony which they would conduct. Whenever they built an image or an idol of their false gods, they would perform this ritual where they would fashion the gold using precious material, using gold, silver and jewels, and they would build an idol. Then they would place the idol in a garden. Then what they would do is they would expect that the spirit of the god which they had fashioned the idol of would come and incarnate itself or come and live in the statue. And that's why they worshipped idols. So what Genesis is doing very cleverly is it's switching the narrative, and it's saying that humans don't build gods. No, God has built humans. And what the authors of Genesis are trying to stress here is that the living God who created the heavens and the earth, who created this universe, He has created human beings in His image. It's not been human beings who have created Him. So this is what Genesis 2 is all about. It's telling us that the God who created the universe created human beings, and He has created them to be in relationship with Him, to know Him, to love Him, and to serve Him. And then the text goes on to say, Then the Lord God said, It is not good for the man to be alone. I will make a helper who is just right for him. So the Lord God caused the man to fall into a deep sleep. While the man slept, the Lord God took out one of the man's ribs and closed up the opening. Then the Lord God made a woman from the rib, and He brought her to the man. So in this narrative, what happens is God causes Adam, or the man, just to fall into a deep sleep. And He gives him a visionary experience of him taking out a part of his side. The word in the Hebrew means side. And in this visionary experience, the man sees God making for him a woman, a female companion. In our English translation, this female companion is described as being a helper. But in the original language, the word actually means co-equal, somebody who is to serve alongside the man. So basically the main point of Genesis chapter 2, yes, it's rich in that cultural imagery, and yes, it's rich in metaphor, but it's describing the fact that God, simplistically put, created man and women to be in relationship with Him. And this is a task that we have to do together. Men cannot serve God alone, and women cannot serve God alone. We have to do this together. And ultimately, this is expressed in the types of relationships we keep. We have got relationships with each other through family bonds, through mums and dads, brothers and sisters. And one of the greatest expressions of this is marriage. That for this reason, the text says that it's this reason, because God has created men and women to complement each other and to work together to serve God and honor Him. For this reason, the text goes on to say that they will be given the covenant of marriage. They will be in relationship with each other, and one man and one woman can express this calling to serve God through the lens of being a married couple. So I want to leave you with this message and encourage you with this from Genesis chapter 2. I want you to know that ultimately the main point that chapter 2 is trying to convey is that the God who created the universe has created mankind to be in relationship with Him and to serve Him. The first responsibility that was given to man and woman in their service of God, we're told, was to name the animals. The field of science is taxonomy. What does it mean when it says that they are to name the animals? Well, it doesn't mean that they're to give them names like a kangaroo or a koala or a shark or a crocodile. No. Remember what I said in the last episode, that the ancient people were concerned about a thing's function. What function did it have? So the purpose of Adam and Eve being given the responsibility of naming the animals was to determine how they would be used in society and how they would work. Now, ultimately, God has done that from a creation standpoint, but He's entrusted humanity with the task of leading and having governance and stewardship over the earth. So I want to encourage you with this message that you and I have been created to serve God and to know our Creator. And in the next episode, when we read Genesis chapter 3, we realize that because of sin, there is a fracturing to that task. Yes, we can know God and we can be in relationship with God, but our sin separates us from God. And ultimately, it is the work of Jesus Christ when He died at the cross and He came back from the grave, which restores God's original creative plan for human beings. God bless you, teenagers. Let's go now into a time of prayer, and we'll see you next episode.